This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay. Good morning, Rabbi Glatstein. Welcome to the Kol Agad Pirka, Parshas Beshalach. So this is the sheet comes from Sefer. It's about to be printed, Bezos Hashem, on Pesach, and we're going to speak a little bit today about Kriyas Yamsuf and the pasuk Vayar Yisrael Sayar Agdol Asher Asa Hashem b'Mitzrayim. Klal Yisrael saw the great hand that God wrought in Egypt. Vayira'u ha'am es Hashem, the people feared God. Vayaminu b'Hashem of Moshe Avdai, and they believed in Hashem and in Moshe his servant. So we have over here the pasuk Pshan. The pasuk is when it says Vayar Yisrael, it's Pshutoy Kamashmai. Bnei Yisrael saw the great hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. However, the Zohar HaKadosh in this week's Parsha has the following question, that the pasuk is inconsistent from the beginning to the end. Because Haikra lav reishe sefe v'lav sefe reishe, says the Zohar. This pasuk, the beginning is not the end's not the beginning. B'kadmeisa vayar Yisrael, uvasar vayiru ha'am. In the beginning it says Israel saw, and in the end, the people feared. Ella, Amar, Rabbi Yehuda said, Ahu Saba Dinachas and Benoi Begalusa, that old man who suffered with his children in the exile, V'saval Ale Galusa, and tolerated the exile, V'oil of Noi Begalusa, and went up with them, referring to Yaakov. Yaakov Avinu, Hashem said, Anoichi Ered Imcha Mitzrayma, V'anoichi A'ala Gamalai, I'll go up with you. So Yaakov Avinu, who saw the Galus, so Kalino Nukmin V'chol Gevurayin Da'avid Kutchabrichu B'Mitzrayim, all of the revenge and might that God did in Egypt, Hadahu D'chsiv Vayar Yisrael, Yisrael Mamish. When it says Vayar Yisrael, it doesn't mean Bnei Yisrael. It means Yisrael Saba. It means Yisrael the elder. It means Yaakov Avinu. That's what the Zohar explains. Yisrael refers to Yisrael Saba. In other words, the Zohar has a kasha. Why does it begin Vayar Yisrael and it ends Vayiru ha'am? And the answer is, the Vayar Yisrael is not the The Yisrael refers to Yaakov Avinu, who's called Yisrael Saba. Here's the question of the day. There's a pasuk in Tehillim, Parak Ayin Hey, Neged Avoisam Asa Fele. Opposite their forefathers, he performed wonders. Be'eretz Mitzrayim Sedeit Sayan, in the land of Egypt, in the field of Sayan. Baka Yam Vayavirem, he split the sea. Vayatzev Mayim K'mayned, and he stood up the water like a pile. So if you wanted to know who are the spectators of that super event of Kriyas Yamsuf, who were the three who had press box to see Kriyas Yamsuf? So the pasuk says in Tehillim, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Rashi explains, Neged Avoisam Asapela, Shahapasuk Balalamdenu, that Hashem showed the Avos the salvation of Israel. Says Rashi there, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov came to the Yam, they had press box, and Hashem showed the redemption. So comes none other than the holy Chassam Sofer and his drashos for Pesach, and he says, why did the Zohar mention that HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed the Yad Hagdoila only to Yaakov Avinu? All the three of us saw the great arm, the great hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not only Yaakov, but Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, as the pasuk says, Neged Avoisam Asu Fele. So why does the Zohar specify Vayar Yisrael, Yisrael Saba? There's also Avraham Saba and Yitzchak Saba. Why Dafka Yaakov Saba? So the Chassam Sofer explains based on the Masei Rokeach. And the Masei Rokeach, who's one of the amazing Perushim on the Mishnayos, explains the connection between the Yom Tov of Pesach and Avraham Avinu. Because after all, we know there's a Torah. Right? We know the Torah says that there are 3 Yomim Tovim and 3 Avos, and the 3 Yomim Tovim correspond to the 3 Avos. So Shavuos is Keneged Yitzchak Avinu because the Shofar Matan Torah came from the Ayel of Yitzchak. And Sukkot is Keneged Yaakov Avinu because Yaakov made for his flocks, he made sukkos. And Avram Avinu is Keneged Pesach, because Avram Avinu fed the matzos, Lushi Vasi, he fed the matzos on Pesach. So there's a specific connection between Pesach and Avraham Avinu. Now let's elaborate on that connection. Because we know that technically, you're allowed to eat chametz until chatzos on Erev Pesach. Because it says, Ba Pesach, Beino Arbayim, you're not allowed to eat chametz. However, the Chachamim added 1 hour. So the Gemara says in Psachim, the Mishnah Psachim Parak Aleph Mishnah Dad, Rameir says you could eat chametz for the 5th hour, and you burn it in the beginning of the 6th hour. Rabbi Yehuda says you could eat it the 4th hour, and it's suspended the whole 5th, and you burn in the beginning of the 6th. Meaning, Midoraisa, you're now to eat chametz after chatzos, and Chazal added 1 hour. Now, why did Chazal add an hour? Because you can easily make a mistake between 1 hour and the next. However, comes the Maserei Keach, and he gives a tremendous rationale, al pi soid, al pi remez, why it was necessary to add an hour, based on the Torah that we mentioned. The Torah says that the Yom Tov of Pesach is Keneged Avram Avinu, who said, Lushi v'asi ugois on Pesach. Now, says the Maserei Keach, we know why Chazal added 1 hour of Isser Chametz. Because if you think about it, why would Chazal add an Isser of, in general, why are you not allowed to eat Chametz Erev Pesach? Why? You don't have to eat matzah on Erev Pesach. You're allowed to do malacha on Erev Pesach. Why should you not allowed to be able to eat Chametz on Erev Pesach? No, why are you not allowed to eat Chametz on Erev Pesach? Why can't you eat Oreos? It's not Pesach. You're allowed to do malacha, you don't have to eat matzah, so why does the Isser Chametz begin on Erev Pesach Bechlal? Isn't it a Pella? What?
You cleaned the house the night before, supposedly.
Okay, so go out to eat and eat chametz in someone else's house. I'll go to your house and eat chametz all over your house, right? So I'll bring my own, right? So why are you not allowed to eat chametz on Erev Pesach? Not Pesach. You're allowed to eat chametz on Tisha B'Av. Why are you not allowed to eat on Erev Pesach? So actually, you can't eat on Tisha B'Av. Matzah Tisha B'Av, you could eat it. So ask the Maserei Keach, if you look in, this is the first paragraph quoting the Maserei Keach, L'chayra kasha, Kamoisha mitzvahs achilas matzah, maschal mi ba'erev, koyeh mitzvahs bir chametz. V'lama gdima Torah bir chametz, vav shoy sulamala. Says the Maserei Keach, a davar oyem v'noira. Pesach is Keneged who? Avram Avinu. So let's make a cheshbon. How many years did Avram Avinu live? 175 years. Gavaldik. Now let's make a cheshbon. How many days are Pesach? 7 days. How many hours are Pesach? What's 7 times 24? 168. Very good. 7 times 21, 40. 7 times 4 is 28. 168. So the Torah wanted to add 6 hours so that Pesach, which is Keneged Avram Avinu, would not be 168 hours, but would be 174 hours of Isser Chametz. So the Chachamim said, but we're still off by 1, so therefore the Chachamim were moisef 1 hour to make it 175. Keneged, so the Chachamim added 1 hour to indicate an interesting thing, because he says that the Gemara in Baba Basra says that the Avos, the Yetzer Hara, was not shoyled over the Avos HaKadoshim. So Midai Raisa, Avraham Avinu had 175 years of dominion over the Yetzer Hara, and therefore we're now going to have Chametz. Chametz represents the Yetzer Hara. In other words, why is the Isser Chametz longer than the mitzvah of matzah? Because the Isser Chametz represents the Yetzer Hara. So to indicate that Avram Avinu completely overruled the Yetzer Hara, like the Gemara says in Brachos, the Sa'ar Shabbat is the Yetzer Hara, right? Umima Akev, so that the Chametz represents the Yetzer Hara. Therefore, to indicate that Avram Avinu had complete dominion over the Yetzer Hara, at least from the time he was 1 year old, therefore we have the Yetzer Chametz for 174 hours, and the Chachamim say, no, even in Shana Aleph, Lo shalat ba Yetzer Hara on Avram Avinu. This is the amazing discovery of the Maser Rekech, that the 175 hours of Isser Chametz corresponds to the 175 righteous years of the life of Avram Avinu, who ruled over his Yetzer Hara. Fine. So the upshot is that Pesach is Keneged Avram Avinu, and there are 175 hours of Isser Chametz, 7 days of 24 hours, 168, plus the 6 hours of Erev Pesach, plus the 1 hour Midrabanan, a total of 175. Comes the Chassam Sofer. How old was Avraham when Yitzchak was born? 100. How old was Yitzchak when Yaakov was born? 60. How old was Avraham when Yaakov was born? 160. Very good. Avraham was 160. Now let's make a cheshbon. In what hour of Pesach was Kriyas Yamsuf? So, it wasn't hour of Pesach. It wasn't in the hour they added. It wasn't on the first day. It wasn't on the second. It was on the seventh day. Be'ashmoyres haboiker. What time is Ashmoyres haboiker? Ashmoyres haboiker is basically, if let's say the night, let's say Shvi Shal Pesach is over, let's say a perfect day, 6 p.m. 6 a.m. is Alois HaShachar. 9 o'clock, 3 hours later, is Ashmoyres HaBoiker. In hour 160 of Pesach. Hour 160 of... No, actually, let's cheshbon it like this. The total number of hours of Pesach are 175. So 9 hours into Shvi Shel Pesach, which means basically Ashmoyres HaBoiker. If let's say the final day of Pesach is 24 hours perfectly, it starts 6 p.m., it ends 24 hours later at 6 p.m. So let's take it 12 hours into Shvi Shel Pesach, gets you into what time? The 163rd hour, right? So 3 hours earlier, meaning 3 hours before the daybreak, that's Ashmoyres HaBoiker. That's the Mishmar, right? We know the Gemara says in Brachas, the night is broken up into 3 parts. The Ashmoira of the Boiker, the guard of the Boiker. The last 3 hours before dawn is called Ashmoyres HaBoiker. Kriyas Yamsuf was an hour 160, the precise hour that corresponds to the birth of Yaakov Avinu. The splitting of the Yamsuf, says the Chassam Sofer, was the precise hour corresponding to the birth of Yaakov Avinu. Take a look on page Taf Samach Beis. V'api divrei harekeach, bir HaChassam Sofer. Ma hatam she'eskira haTorah es Yaakov Avinu b'meyuchad etzel Kriyas Yamsuf. Based on the Rekeach, Chassam Sofer explains, what is the reason that the Torah mentions specifically Yaakov by Kriyas Yamsuf more than Abraham and Yitzchak? Says the Maser Rekeach as follows. Based on the Maser Rekeach, that from Chatzos Erev Pesach, the Zman Bir Chametz, until the end of 7 days is 175 hours, and the Yamsuf split, and Klal Yisrael were saved by Ashmoyres HaBoiker of the 7th day of Pesach, which is hour 160, basically 15 hours before the end of the day, when Avraham was 160, Yaakov was born. That means Kriyas Yamsuf happened at the precise moment of the birth of Yaakov. Means the hour of Kriyas Yamsuf corresponded to the day, to the year that Yaakov was born. So it must be the Yamsuf split in whose merit? Yaakov's merit. Therefore, Vayar Yisrael as Hayar Agdoila, says the Chassam Sofer, the reason why the Zohar says that Yaakov Avinu b'meyuchad was called to witness Kriyas Yamsuf is because it was in his merit that the Yamsuf split. V'hainu, sheYitzchak Avinu noilad k'shaya Avram ben Meah. Yitzchak was born when Avram was 100, and Yitzchak was 60 when Yaakov was born. That means Avram was 160 when Yaakov was born. L'fi divrei Maser Rekech shehashois shel Isser Chametz hen keneged shnei chaye Avram. According to Maser Rekech, that the hours of Isser Chametz correspond to the life of Avram. Nimsa, that the 160th hour from the beginning of Isser Chametz is Ashmoyres HaBoiker on the Shvi. That's when Klal Yisrael were saved, and that is the 160th hour of Avram, and therefore Kriyas Yamsuf was designated for Yaakov Avinu. That's the approach of the Chassam Sofer. And here is a novel approach that we will end off with today. Okay? And then you could spend the rest of the day thinking about it or doing whatever else you want. Okay? Says, I would like to suggest a new perush and why the Zohar says that Dafka Yaakov Avinu was called based on the Gra. So here in the Sefer, the Gra is in his perush of the Tikkunei Zohar. So it's not like I have a Seder in the Gra's commentary to Tikkunei Zohar, but I saw it in a Sefer, in a Likut Sefer that quoted this Gra. And that is, we know, as Ramban says, that Sefer Bereshis is called Sefer Ha-Yetzirah. Actually, in about an hour, I'm going to be at the Ramban's kever. No, it will go up in about an hour. The rumor has it that the Ramban is buried at the footsteps of the Mara Samachpela.
You're still in Hebron.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, now, I don't remember seeing this. There's actually a Matzeva there now for the Ramban. I don't remember seeing that ever, but maybe it was always there. It could be probably always there. But I remember as a kid, 30 years ago, I went to the Mara Samachpela and there was a makubal at the steps of the Mara Samachpela. He had metal sticks. I remember we asked him what he's doing. He's locating the grave of the Ramban. Anyway, but is the Ramban there? I can't tell you. But the Ramban says Sefer Bereshis is called the Book of Creation. Everything that Avraham Avinu did, everything that Yitzchak did, everything that Yaakov did was what we call Masei Avos Siman Labanim, was the pre-enactment of the future history of Klal Yisrael. So the Gra has an amazing revelation. That Yaakov's encounter with Lavan was the Masei Avos Siman Labanim to the Yerida to Mitzrayim and the Yetziah Mitzrayim. Says the Gra, the Ha'inyan, Yaakov Bovad Dugmas Yisrael b'Mitzrayim. Like we say, the Avos are Siman Labanim. Golos Yaakov, so Yaakov was exiled, that's Golos Mitzrayim. Then Yaakov Avinu took all of Lavan's possessions, the spotted sheep, the speckled sheep, the ringed sheep, the patched sheep. He took everything. The same way, Vayenatzlus Mitzrayim, we emptied out Egypt, Yaakov emptied out Lavan. And just like when Yaakov took everything from Lavan, he used his staff, he used his stick, Dugma the Mata Mitzrayim. And just like Yaakov ran away from Lavan, Klal Yisrael ran away from Mitzrayim. And just like Yaakov ran a 3-day journey away from Lavan, we ran away 3 days. And just like it was told to Lavan on the 3rd day, and he caught up to us on the 7th day, so too, in Mitzrayim, we ran away 3 days and they caught up to us on the 7th day. Now, ultimately, Rabbi Isai, Yaakov Avinu crossed the river, Vayavras Mavar Yaboik, and he crossed it with the stick. So too, Kriyas Yamsuf, that was the Masei of a Siman Labanim. Ki b'makli avarti esayardin. So now what do we see from the Gra? Mavur midivrei Gra, a big chiddush of Masei of a Siman Labanim. That Yaakov's running away from Laban is the Masei Avos that created the Siman Labanim of Yetzias Mitzrayim. Now, one of the equations that the Gra shows between the fleeing of Yaakov from Lavan and Yetzias Mitzrayim, they both ran for 3 days and they caught up to him on the 7th day. And just like on the 7th day Yaakov was saved, Klal Yisrael was saved because of Kriyas Yamsuf. And therefore, we could conclude as follows. Now we understand why Kriyas Yamsuf was designated for Yaakov Avinu. Because Yaakov Avinu is the one who created Kriyas Yamsuf. He's the Masei Avos, Siman Labanim, the Kriyas Yamsuf. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu came and showed Yaakov Avinu. He said, look what you accomplished. You being saved from Lavan, in your Zechus of being saved from Lavan, that was the Masei Avos, Siman Labanim, for Klal Yisrael. And therefore the Zohar says, Vayar Yisrael Seir Agdoila. Who's Yisrael? Yisrael Saba. Some Shiurim, even though they're very short, they're still very good. Rabbi, say have a great day. What?
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.